Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Today, in this episode, we are going to talk about RBAC, role-based access control, and especially what RBAC can do for governance. So let's dive in. So the first topic is overview of RBAC and its role in governance. Well, before that, we need to understand what is RBAC. RBAC stands for role-based access control, which simply means it's a mechanism which gives you a method or way to control who can access and what they can do with the resource. So, who can access the resource and what can they do with it? What privileges they have, what level of permissions they have. Now, instead of giving someone a permanent access to something or the highest privilege, you assign them a specific role with the help of RBAC, which defines what actions they can perform. And the actions can be of the lowest privilege if you want so. Now, role types. Well, there are so many roles in RBAC which are actually built in, like hundreds. I will just give you quite a few. Remember, owner and contributor is the highest privileged role. Owner gives you full control, which means if a person have an owner role, that person can actually create your resources, delete resources, change resources, plus that person can also play with permissions. So if you are the owner of a subscription and you made someone else the owner of that subscription as well, that person can, in the future, give someone else the ownership. The person can play around with permissions, which is super critical. You should not do that. Now, the next is contributor. Contributor, again, gives full control minus access privileges. So this person will actually help you to manage everything, but cannot play with RBAC. So I think this is what you should use mostly in your environment if you want to give someone total control over your resources. Then how about reader? Reader is read only. You will give this role to someone who just want to view or read your environment, maybe for a consultant or auditor. Then we have custom roles. Well, if these built-in roles are not enough for you, or it does not suit your organizational demand or scenario, well, with the help of a JSON script and template, you can create your own custom roles and apply it. How about principle of least privilege? Do you think that is applied here with RBAC? The answer is, of course. RBAC primarily use the concept of least privilege, which simply means give the least privilege to someone who needs enough permissions or privilege to do the job. That's all. Nothing more than that. Then we have governance control. Well, RBAC again plays a very crucial role to help you to govern your environment. So what is governance? Well, governance simply means controlling your environment. With the help of RBAC permissions, you can create a consistent access policy on your environment. So in the future, if you are creating more resources under your subscription, if the RBACs are assigned properly, the administrator will automatically get permission over the new resources, because permissions do get inherited. Audit and monitoring. Well, again, Azure maintains proper historical data. So if you give someone permission or you remove someone's permission, or someone is trying to be clever and giving permission to someone else, right? Or maybe there is suspicious activity, don't worry, historical data or logs are always maintained. So you should be able to monitor your environment and audit it. Now, assigning your built-in and custom roles in user and resources. Well, to assign a role, the first logic which you have to clear is What are built-in roles? You already know that. Now you will find the role which is actually much suited for your environment. So out of many roles, you have to find the role which you want. Next, if you cannot find a role which suits your environment, create a custom role. Forget about assigning right now. You are at the search step. So you will search for a built-in role. You cannot find it. Create your own custom role. Once you have a proper role, the next step is assigning it to someone. Well, here you will decide, do you want to apply this role to one person or to 100? Well, if you want to apply the role to 100 users, why not you apply it to a group of those 100 users? That will be much more easy to manage. Plus, sometime you don't want to apply a role to a user or a group of users. Sometimes a service needs permission on other service. So you can also apply a role to a service principal. Once you know this, now you will decide at what level you will assign this role. What will be the scope? Do you want to assign it on the subscription? If yes, remember the role assigned on subscription will get inherited to all the resource groups and resources under that subscription. So be aware of that. Then some of the best practices. Well, again, follow the least privilege model. Only give the least level of privilege to someone so that that person can do the bare minimum. That is the job. Regularly review and adjust roles. So once you assign a role to someone, and now after many months or many years, more employees are getting hired and some employees are also leaving your company. So there will be a lot of UPNs and roles assigned which are stale, old, nobody's using it. But someone can still use it. These are your vulnerabilities. So do your housekeeping and remove all the old, stale roles. How will you know that? Well, for that, you have to regularly review and audit your environment. Assign the minimum role. We already know that. Provide only the necessary permission for users to do their job. Use built-in role. This is also a good practice. Mostly, this step is again repeated. Why I'm putting more emphasis? Because sometimes users get this urge to create everything from scratch. Don't do that. If a built-in role does the job, use it. Custom roles should only be used for granular control. If you want extreme level of flexibility or special use case, only then go with custom roles. Now, assign the role at the right scope. We discussed it already. Please do not assign it on a subscription if you only want to give someone permission on a resource. Apply it on the resource level. Regularly audit it and use group for role assignment. Well, this is also important. You should not apply a role to 100 users manually one by one. Apply it on the group. Any new user who gets hired will automatically inherit the role. This is even easy to manage in the future. Now let's go to our lab and check out how to apply RBAC and what are the effects. All right, now let's check out if RBAC permissions can be assigned to a service or a virtual machine. That is true. Before we start with this demo, let me tell you that permissions can be assigned to a UPN, that is user principal name, or you can assign it to a group of multiple users. Plus, sometime a service may need a privilege over another service. So, RBAC can be assigned to a service or a managed identity. So let's say in this scenario, I have a storage account. In this storage account, let's say we have a file share where our web server is saving all the data. So in this case, my machine where I'm running my web server, my website, and my machine need a privilege over file share. We don't have any users here. We don't have any group. It's just a machine which need a privilege over a file share inside the storage account. How will we do that? First, that machine must have an identity of its own. So, for example, this is my machine. Just assume this machine is running a website. You go to Identity under Security. As you can see, this machine have no identity of its own. So I want to create a system-assigned identity. It will take some time. Perfect. Now I have a system-assigned identity and the permissions can be applied. I will copy this. This will come in handy. This is actually the unique principal ID. With this, you will be able to identify or find this resource. And let's go to storage account. Now imagine in the storage account you have a file share. So I will go to access control, then click on add role assignments, and I want to assign SMB share contributor. Means it will give it will give full access over the file share. I will click on it, click next, and select the member. So basically everything is same, but instead of finding a user, you want to find that machine. So here's my machine and select that. Click next, assign. So that's how you can also assign RBAC privilege to a machine or even a service. One more example. There is one service called AVD, Azure Virtual Desktop. And Azure Virtual Desktop is actually a hosting service of a VDI environment. Basically, that service also have one feature, that is auto start a VM on connect. That means if a user tries to connect with a virtual machine and the machine is off, the host machine is off, AVD will actually turn on the machine on the user's behalf. In this example, remember, AVD and virtual machine, they both are separate services. So if AVD want to turn on or turn off this machine, you have to assign right privileges. I will give you an example. Let's click on the machine, go to IAM, click on add role assignment. So which privilege I was talking about? This one. Desktop virtualization power on contributor means someone who can actually switch on the machine. Click on it, select member. Instead of finding a managed identity, user, or group, you can also search for a service. Here we go. Azure Virtual Desktop. You can also assign it to a service. So that was your RBAC. I hope now you understand that why RBAC is so critical. Welcome to your next demo. In this demo, we will see how to apply RBAC permissions. And I will also show you different scopes where you can apply RBAC. So for that, first, we will have a target user. And I'm still using my demo user. That is demo user 1. And then I will also have certain scopes. First, I will have my subscription. So that is, again, one level of my scope. Plus, I also have some test machines. So I have 2 VMs running. Remember, we don't have to learn how to create VMs yet. I'm just using it as a resource. So I will show you how to apply RBAC permission on both scopes. Let's go back to a different session and log in as our demo user. Demo user 1. Let's log in. All right, I'm in. And if I click on subscription, let's say, this user have no subscriptions. That is obvious because this user is just a common employee, just a user without any privileges assigned. If I go to virtual machine, again, nothing. So how can I give a limited privilege to this user? Imagine if I give privilege to this user on my subscription level. Then all the resource groups or resources associated with this subscription will be unlocked for this user. So let's do that. I will go to my subscription and click on Pay As You Go. And whenever you have to apply RBAC, look for Access Control IAM here. This is where you manage all the aspects of RBAC privileges. I will click on it. Give it some time, it's still loading. Perfect. And then click on Add Privileges. So add role assignments here. Here are all the privileges you could assign. These are all the roles. There are a lot of roles here, 638. Which role you want? Basically, every role will be different and the description is given in front of it. So that's a good thing. But let's talk about privileged admin roles. The roles which actually hold more privilege. Of course, don't make anyone the owner. But let's say I want to give a reader role. Reader. This role will make sure that the user can see all your resources but cannot do anything. Maybe this role is good for auditing purpose, or maybe if someone wants to keep a check on these scenarios or the environment. I'll click on the role, then click on Select Members and search for that member. That is Demo Group 1, or you can also select just a user. Click Next. Now, do you want this role to be active, or you want to just make this role eligible so that the user can use privileged identity management mechanism, which we will learn later on. At this point, I'm just going to give this role right away. Permanent, active, click Next, assign this role. Perfect, the role is assigned. Let's go back and let me refresh this page. Or the user may have to log out and log in. Let's check. Still, the subscription is not there. So just wait for a while. Whenever you give a RBAC permission, the system might take some time to reflect it. Here you go. The subscription is there, and this user have a reader role. That means now if I go to virtual machine, this user will be able to see everything, not just virtual machine, resource groups as well. Yep. As you can see, this user will be able to see everything. But can this user do anything? Let me try to, delete this machine, let's say. Or just start it. Delete will be too disruptive, right? So let me just start it. And as you can see, this role is just reader. So this user cannot do anything. Now, what if you want this to be more granular? What if you want to allow this user to be able to control this Linux machine? I can do that. I'll go back to my portal where I logged in as global admin. And this time I will go to the very resource. So this is my Linux machine. I will click on it. And then click on Access Control IAM. Click Add Role Assignments. Now, if I want this user to be able to do everything, control this machine, I can either make this user the owner or contributor. Remember, owner will also get the privilege to change the access permissions on RBAC. I don't want that. I just want this user to be able to control this machine. So contributor. Select that user. Next, assign. Again, you just assign the role. You may have to log out, log in, or wait for some time. And let's see. Can this user start the machine? Yes. This user can now start the machine, delete the machine, or change the size, or overall configure this whole machine. Can this user start this Windows machine? The answer is no. I never gave the permission. And as you can see, the virtual machine is being started. Here we go. It's running. Can this user stop the machine? Of course. Stop the machine. And now the machine will stop. So that is how you give RBAC permissions. Now, how to remove it? It's the same place, just go in the opposite direction. So if I want to remove the privilege over the machine, I will go to the access control of that machine, click on role assignments, and find this user. As you can see, contributor, demo user 1. Select that user and delete. Don't worry, you're not deleting the user, you're just deleting the role. Same thing for subscription. Go to IAM, click on role assignments, where you will see all the users and the role assigned to them. It's reader role for demo user 1. Click on it and delete. So the role will be removed now. So that is how you use RBAC. Remember, RBAC gives you granular control over privileges or granting access. Now you know how to apply RBAC, right? It was that easy. Actually, applying RBAC at any subscription, resource group, or resource level is very fast. When you apply a role, it takes effect almost immediately. And if the role is not taking effect, then tell that person to quickly sign out and sign in. It will take effect. To wrap things up, RBAC is all about giving the right people the right access at the right time. Here are some of the key takeaways. You should try your best to stick with built-in roles when you can. Always follow the least privilege principle. Only use custom roles when absolutely necessary. Remember, custom role gives you more flexibility and granular control. Plus, always use groups for easier management. Using group is not a compulsion, but it is recommended. By following these best practices, you'll be able to manage access to your Azure resources securely and efficiently. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next episode with more tips and tricks over Azure services. Take care.